Who just took his first win, and as such he lines up on pole position here for this race in the Red Bull X2019. It's Samuel Moreno who will head the field here at Monza at the Temple of Speed. 27 laps of action ready to come. Here is Moreno, the 18-year-old, on pole position with Pol Ura. Sort of an experienced driver now in second position on the grid. Takuma Miyazono heads row 2, and he has got Valerio Gallo, the hometown favourite, to the roar of the crowd here in Italy for company. Then it's Kai de Bruyne next up on row 3 with Jose Serrano, the reigning champion, alongside. Ryota Kokubun, returning after a year out from competition, is at P7, and he's got Guy Barbara, who did a great recovery job to get into P8 at the end of that sprint race. Lucas Bonelli is next up in P9. Completing the top 10 is Kylian Drumont, who's got a heck of a fight back to do after a dismal time in the sprint race. Then it's Sam Cardinal in P11 with Adriano Carrazza completing the 12-driver strong field. Soft, medium and hard tyres available for the drivers, and as you can see, the majority of the top 10 starting on the mediums.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a strategy we've not seen before. It's just those who are at the front want to go fast, and those at the back want to get rid of that hard tyre straight away. I mean, if you're looking at Moreno and Ura and Miyazono, I think they need to really focus on trying to work together a little bit at the start of this race, because the worst thing you can do when using that medium compound tyre is squabble. You lose time. You have to think of the race as a whole, which is very tricky when you're racing side by side with very competitive people.
So then, how does this one go down? There are your drivers on the stage. There's the audience in the background. Over 1,000 people here in Milan. And we're waiting to find out who will be the master of Monza. Tension is in the air as they will come around the final corner, come across the timing line, and we will get ready to get racing underway here as the grand final at Monza for the Nations Cup is go. They lead them down over the timing line and head towards the first corner. So a rolling start then with Moreno, Ura and Miyazono. Will we see any Dander moves on the brakes? Moreno looks like he's got the lead covered off for now. Miyazono has a look on Ura. Gallo there also looking a bit racy in fourth position. They exit the first chicane, which is a very tricky part of the lap because it does bottleneck up through there. But the upshot is the pole sitter of Samuel Moreno, the 18-year-old, holds the lead over Pol Ura for now.
Yeah, nice and neat and time to start up front. Meanwhile, at the back, Guy Barbara losing 3 places now on that medium compound tyre. So a horrible start from him as we see Ura kick up some gravel on the outside of the first chicane there. And this is where these guys need to be careful. They don't want to have any big fights now. They don't want to be pushing each other off, having incidents, because this is right at the start of the race. You've got to try and be neat and tidy. You see in the background there, Kokubun on that hard compound tyre, just moving to one side, I think, to try and let Serrano through. He knows his fight isn't with Serrano right now, and they'll just cost each other both times if they fight. So just let him through, be sensible, think of the race as a whole.
So explain to me why that is, Jimmy. Of course, it's obviously different tyre compounds here for Jose Serrano. He's on the medium tyre. Why has Kokubun not fought that for those who are just tuning into the GT World Series for the first time?
Because really Serrano's going to pass him anyway, and here is Serrano. I say that, he must have made a mistake at the start because he did start in 6th position. Yeah, that's why. So I thought it was out of the kindness of his heart, but actually it's because Kokubun caused that contact and moved him out the way. So showing good sportsmanship there by letting him back through again. But again, a bad start for Serrano. So he's not having the perfect races he had last year. Yeah, not very good at all there for Jose Serrano. Guy Barbara was the other driver that was caught up in all that melee, which is why he dropped down into 11th position initially on the opening lap. He's now back up into 10th place, but he basically came to a stop down
at the Rettifilo. On board we are with Valerio Gallo as we exit through the Curva Grande, heading towards the Della Roggia chicane. Sparks flying underneath Mierzone, massive closing speed there from the Italian driver as well. And you're threading the eye of an eagle as you flick it through that left and that right. And you can see the gravel awaiting those who make the mistakes on the outside. So the start of this race, pretty much as we were expecting to see for the medium short runners, with the exception of Guy Barbara, who, as we know, of course, as I said a moment ago, was caught up in that first corner drama. So they're going to build out a gap in the early stages of this race compared to the hard-shod runners. But of course the converse to that is that they're going to owe that hard compound of tyre later on in the race. So it depends on what they're going to do in terms of their strategies and whether we'll see the diversions when it comes to the first pit stops.
Yeah, right now you're seeing the gap sort of all stabilising at the front around half a second or so. The reason for that is because of dirty air. These cars produce a lot of downforce, and when you're following in the wake, it upsets the airflow going over your car. I mean, you produce less downforce and you're a bit slower. So it's a good idea usually to give it about half a second or so, maybe a bit more. And it saves your tyres too, because all that time your car is understeering in the aero, you're putting more load into the front tyres, trying to make up for that. So all good right now. Kai de Bruin is hanging on to the back of this group, but does look the slowest. And you see there in the bottom left-hand corner, that's Valerio Gallo's parents there. Here, of course, to give their son the support alongside the rest of the home audience here. Great support here for Gallo, and I'm sure he feels that right now.
Yeah, same expression on their face as his son does while he's driving, actually.
Yeah, you can tell they're related.
Yeah. Let's have another look then at Guy Barbara and Adriano Corazza. Samuel Cardinal there in the background. This is just on the exit of the Curva Grande. They're side by side through the Della Roggia. Barbara on the curve on the inside, and well, it's difficult to work that one out because neither wanted to give that corner up, and to be honest, one of them sort of needed to, really.
Racing instant. Done. Finish.
There we go. Lovely stuff.
I'm not sure if the stewards agree, but I just think in those situations where they're fighting like that, as you say, they're both going in, they're both taking the risk. But one of them knows they might not make it out of that corner like that, and unfortunately that time it was Corazza. So it just happens. Meanwhile, front and back, the top 4, top 5 cars very close together. Kai de Bruin just, as I say, narrowly holding on to Valerio Gallo in the background there, but anyone's race at this point. We're only 3 laps in, or nearly 4 laps in now, to what is a 27-lap race. As we say, you must use every compound of the Dunlop tyre at least once. The medium, the hard and the soft. So Mierzone looking maybe to the outside of Pol Euro there, and Euro feeling the need to defend a little bit.
They're keeping it quite calm, aren't they, at the sharp end of this one? No real moves being made at all, actually, inside the top 7. It's all exactly as they qualify. Barbara gets a penalty for colliding with another car. That's the instant down at the second chicane that we just saw with Corazza a couple of moments ago. I've got to be honest, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've learned the stewards. I know what they are now. They're big energy, so I'm not going to argue.
Have you seen the big stick down the middle of the table?
Great job, stewards. Love that.
Right, Guy Barbara then, 1 second penalty. Difficult day continues at the office for the Australian driver. On board we are though with the Italian of Valerio Gallo as he exits his way out of the second Lesmo. We're going to come under the old banking, under the old circuit, and headed towards Ascari in a couple of moments' time. Now, the good news here for the likes of Euro, Mierzone and Gallo is they're all sitting in the slipstream. They can save fuel. It's a very fuel-intense track, this one here, and they can just sit there, lift off the throttle and not try and attack too much at this particular point, which might pay them dividends come the pit stops.
You see there, Gallo really thinking about having to move and going, actually, no, I'm going to just do what you say, to save this fuel, just get off the throttle, use the slipstream to pull the car along, and the result is just fuel save, a shorter stop at the end of the race. Now, someone who is not going to be doing this, who's not going to be saving fuel, is Moreno at the front of the field. Now, say that Gallo looking for a move now on Mierzone, thinking about it. Now, will Mierzone fight this? Yep, Gallo there up into P3, so clearly he thinks he's a bit quicker at this point. But will that break the toe to Pol Euro in front? 8 tenths is the gap now. Gallo, we know, is quick in these cars, but I think it's fair to say sometimes can be a little bit inconsistent in how they are. So he's got to really get his head down now. Kai de Bruin also on Mierzone. They're looking into second chicane. Will Kai de Bruin go through? If he does, so Mierzone goes from 3rd to 5th in 2 corners there. And that's what happens, I think, maybe when you let someone through.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in pace there, Gallo last time around 26.3, De Bruin 25.8, Mierzone 26.6. So Mierzone must have made some kind of a mistake, you would assume, through that final corner or something.
They're just being slowed down by Moreno.
Right.
There's a bit of draft going on here as well, so that slows them all up. Here's Guy Barbara. Here's the reason why he got a penalty.
There's the first corner.
So it's for that. Okay, fair enough then. Yeah, I mean, that you can argue that is a penalty. It's avoidable contact. And Killian Drumont's opinion on that is, well, nothing. Good. Okay. So here is Moreno, Ura, and now Valerio Gallo, who has moved back into a slipstream range here. And you have to... I thought they come into box then. Moreno have a very sharp line, but he's just taking the least possible distance to start finish line there.
Good point of discussion, actually, in the driver briefing for these guys this morning, actually, as well. We were talking about this, about can you dart like you're looking into the pit lane and not come in? And the stewards have said, yeah, that's fine, you can do that, basically. So that's why they come in. They're basically trying to sell the other drivers a dummy and see whether they will come in. We've had 4 drivers box at the end of lap 5 then. So Cockburn, Drumont, Benelli and Cardinal all into the pit, all on the hard tyres and switching to the mediums for their first stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Get off that tyre as soon as possible. Now, interestingly, you might be thinking, why is Paul Ura not making a move on Moreno? Why is he staying? Why is Gallo kind of staying there right now and pushing? Because this might be where you see Moreno's inexperience get him a little bit. Yeah, sure, he's leading the race. He's got a big number 1 next to his name. And talking of numbers next to their names, Miyazono picking up a 0.5-second penalty. That's track limits. So the start of this race really not going to plan for Takuma Miyazono. But to finish that initial thought there, where Moreno's out front, he's punching the hole in the air for everybody else. And everyone else behind them is saving fuel. So... mate, it feels good right now to be first, but everyone else thinking of the long game.
Yeah, we see this a lot in something like Formula E, for example, where you've got to lift in close and save energy over the course of the race. And that's why you see a lot of slipstreaming battles. And the same principle applies here in this race. The upshot is that's Moreno now at the half-second lead, but as you say, needs to be expending a little bit more fuel and also probably using a little more tyre life, you would imagine, just to try and stay at the sharp end.
This actually is a bit of saving grace for Serrano, because it then puts Miyazono back into slipstream range for Serrano, who's sort of fallen off the back after that instant start. And just like that, Jose Serrano is back in contention. Of course he is. Who else would bring the car back like this? I mean, behind them is Guy Barber. He's the last person not to pit yet, but unfortunately, due to various circumstances, about 8 seconds at the back of these guys. But Miyazono will now be giving Serrano a tow back to Kai de Bruin if he can do pace similar to Kai de Bruin. So Serrano, look how fast he is there. He's not hanging about. Serrano up the inside of Miyazono. And the champion's charge back to the front of the field continues.
That was an aggressive chop over going into the first Lesmo, wasn't it? Fair play, though, to Serrano. He got track position, superlative drive out of the Della Roggia chicane, and he went through for 5th position, made that stick and made it look quite easy. Now, Miyazono can use the advantage of the slipstream that's being punched in the hole in the air in front of him by the Spanish driver. The question is, though, Serrano, what's he got? 1.5 seconds to Guy de Bruin in front, so he needs to try and set basically a couple of qualifying laps to get himself off of the Dutchman. Let's have another look and see how it all worked out there. So Miyazono through the Della Roggia, didn't particularly make that much of a mistake, just a little bit wide in the second part of the corner. Serrano said thanks very much, great exit, and just side on through.
He just seems to have much better traction. That's all I can say there. There's not that big of a difference, if any difference, in their tyre life. So it's just a better technique, it seems. Miyazono coming back at Serrano, giving a little bump down the straight there. That's not allowed. No bump drafting allowed in this series. Although if I was Miyazono, I'd be like, I tried to pass him, I was trying to move out, I just misjudged it.
Sorry, Your Honour.
Sorry, mate. Don't look at it too. Gallo with a penalty for track limits. This is what I'm talking about. Valerio just makes these little mistakes that he can't be affording to make right now.
Well, that one mistake there as well, was that half a second? It's going to drop him right into the clutches of the likes of Jose Serrano and Takuma Miyazono. So again, that's another beneficiary here for Serrano and Miyazono. It's going to bring him right back as a player. De Bruin sends it through on the inside of Valerio Gallo, who was a little bit deep there into the first Lesmo. The Dutchman is now into the final podium place. Valerio Gallo, big wobble out of the second Lesmo for Jose Serrano. That's going to cost him time and cost him track position here to Takuma Miyazono as we blast under the old banking. So all of the hard work there that Jose Serrano did, he's now got to do all over again on Takuma Miyazono.
This is good for Gallo because now he's got a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a gap behind him to fall back into, and hopefully now, he's not lost too much time there, so he'll still have a drive.
Big drive!
Who's that?
That's Moreno. That's the race leader that's off down at Alboreto at the final corner. Goodness me, what has happened there to Samuel Moreno? Huge drama at the end of lap 9, and the race leader, the rookie who has been so supreme in the Nations Cup thus far, is plummeted down the order and out of the lead of the race.
I had no idea that. I just saw him sideways. I have to either assume he caught the grass on braking or he was assisted maybe by Pol Ura. I don't want to say that before we see it, but Kai de Bruyne with a penalty as well, so now Gallo's going to be back into it. Man, this race all over the place.
Goodness me, we're going to have to see a replay of exactly what happened. Whilst we take a breath, let's welcome Mick Hazal to the commentary box, GT World Series royalty. Mick, great to have you here. What's your read of this race so far?
Firstly, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join you at the commentary here, but this is not a way how I wanted to join the commentary here.
Yeah, the commentator's curse is alive and well, I'm afraid to say. But I was just about to sing the praises of Samuel Moreno. We haven't seen what happened, so we'll wait for a replay on that one. Up until what's just happened, he was driving superbly well there.
Indeed. So you can see that the top six previously, like before Moreno had to spin on the last corner, you were able to see that the top 10 pace.
Let's have a look then. So we're on board here with Samuel Moreno. So we're coming down into Alboreto, just clips the grass on the entry to the corner and spins all on his own.
So that's a shame.
I mean, the gaps these guys are playing with, Nick. I mean, you've driven at this level before.
Yeah.
It really is millimetres, isn't it?
Yes. Especially at the circuit, because you really want to use every single millimeter here. It can be like the braking point or like the driver line, because here, in most cases, you're just using the full throttle all the time, so there's not really a lot of opportunities where you can gain a lot of time. So yeah, it's such an easy mistake anybody can do here.
Serrano through on Miyazono for fourth place at the start of lap 10 as well. So the recovery for the second of the Spaniards now in this race continues. Valerio Gallo, meanwhile, in the wheel tracks here of Kai de Bruyne, who, after all of that and despite the penalty, still sits in second position. It's given a golden ticket, though, for Pol Ura, who's got 2.2 seconds now at the sharp end of this race. And you can see similar on tyre life, similar, you would imagine, on fuel consumption there as well. So it's worked out very handsomely here for him.
Yes, indeed. So in this race, you don't really need to save fuel with times for fuel consumption. But as for the tyre wear, this is where the strategy will be really, really interesting here. So we were able to see like a prediction from the team, what the strategy might look like. But I was also talking to a few of the other drivers before what they intend to do here. So some of the other drivers, they want to extend the medium tyres as long as possible in order to use the hard tyre compound as, how should I say, not as much as possible in the end. So we might see some of the drivers going into the pits by the end of lap 15 or 16 potentially.
So I'll tell you what, Mick, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're Pol Ura right now. You've not made a stop yet. You're leading from that tyre. You're leading the race by 2.2 seconds. What are you thinking? What's your strategy?
So if I was Pol Ura, obviously I would be thinking, hey, this is perfect. Nobody's right behind of me using my slipstream. But this would also put more pressure onto yourself automatically, because you're not allowed to do like a single mistake even, which allows the competitors behind of you to close the gap down to you, and then also having the slipstream in here, because if you have the slipstream here, you can easily follow the driver in front of you. You can also save your tires by doing so. So in Pol Ura's case, I think he's really trying to extend the gap even.
So Pol Ura it is that leads then, 2.3 seconds the gap he has over Kai de Bruyne. Moreno's picked up another penalty just to compound his woes there in sixth position. That's the sort of snowball effect that can happen, really. You end up with one unfortunate incident and they just sort of come along like London buses. And unfortunately for Moreno, presumably a track limits one, because we didn't see anything flash up on the screen, but that's going to cost him a bit more time and give him a few more headaches later on in the race. On board we are meanwhile here with Valerio Gallo, the hometown hero in the slipstream still of Kai de Bruyne. Do you think he's just going to be, again, biding his time, waiting and saving fuel at this stage?
I think so. I mean, even at this stage here, they don't really want to allow themselves to go into a fight, because if they would fight right now, this would only allow Pol Ura to pull the gap even more, and you would just give Pol Ura the victory at this point. So I think they're trying to work together by this stage. And let's see.
But do you think maybe, because I get the impression that at the moment Pol Ura is a bit quicker than Kai de Bruyne, just in this straight fight. And if you're, the lap time wise, it's about 2 tenths between the two. If you're Valerio Gallo, you think, come on, mate, get on with it, because he's getting away. I'm going to overtake you so I can lead instead. We'll catch him together. I mean,
you're completely right.
What do you do there? Because obviously you're stuck between not wanting to have a fight, but also like, come on, give me up.
I think in Valerio's case here, you would probably look at Kai's pace for the next couple of laps to see whether he's really able to follow Paul Uro's pace. If he's not able to match the same lap times as Paul Uro, then obviously Valerio Gallo is probably going to try and overtake Kai as soon as possible.
I have a small question. Obviously, you've been a competitor here in the past. Have you ever been tempted just to reach over and be like, "Oi, come on, get out of the way," and just tell someone to get out of the way? they're right next to you.
Oh, look at here.
Yeah, De Bruyne made a mistake in the second part of Ascari there. That's allowed Valerio Gallo right on his rear wheel. But you can see again, he's lifting out the throttle, just waiting here, isn't he? And it's brought Serrano into the picture. That's the problem, though, here, because that mistake, again, one simple error. We've been talking about it the entirety of the race, those fine margins, and now suddenly it's gone from a two-way to a three-way.
So this is being too cautious now. What I think Gallo should have done is gone for the move. Kai De Bruyne needs to go, okay, yeah, I made a mistake there, I'm going to slot in behind you.
And all work together.
Yeah. He has to now. He's got no choice. He's alongside Kai De Bruyne. Then he's going to send it down in towards the Retafilio. Are we going to see a Spanish-shaped machine through on the inside as well? Not quite so. De Bruyne loses out to Valerio Gallo, who's now going to try and pounce and power away from those two drivers.
Lovely exit from Gallo there. That was important too, because Kai De Bruyne's going to be behind now. I think what Gallo is hoping is that Serrano's going to do sort of the same thing and give them a little bit of a gap, because now Gallo's leading this train, so it's up to him to try and match the pace of Paul Uro. The gap is 3 seconds, which isn't insurmountable, but it is enough to make a difference, of course. So Gallo now needs to get his head down and do the best he can to try and catch Paul Uro. And Serrano, of course, we did speak about him earlier. What a recovery from Serrano. He's right back in it now. He's right in this train. Any of these guys can win this race at this point.
That simple, Nick, that simple mistake there from Kai De Bruyne a couple of moments ago, it cost Gallo a second. He was 2.2 behind. He's now 3.2 behind.
Indeed, but once Paul Uro gets a track limit penalty here, it would open up the battle for the victory once again, because with the championship track limits here,
Serrano on the inside of Kai De Bruyne into Alboreto. Can he make it stick? De Bruyne just holds it firm around the outside, uses that momentum of sort of the wider line, as it were, and now they're in that slipstreaming battle down the back straight. Keep an eye out for Takuma Miyazono, who's joined into the party here as well. We're side by side with Gallo and De Bruyne once again for second position. De Bruyne with the outside line, demote Gallo back down into third place as they head into the first chicane.
But this is better, at least. I mean, it's hard when you're there fighting because you don't want to give the place up, but they are now moving forward. I mean, if we look at lap times, well, I say that actually, Paul was quicker than all of them last lap.
I mean, this is not really what you want to do at this stage, because if we were looking at the gap from P2 to Paul Uro on the previous 2 laps, I think it was like 1 second lower. So 1 second less, I mean. So I'm not quite sure if these guys are probably going to start thinking, okay, I think Paul Uro already won this race at this point, so let's try to battle for P2.
We're right now in the pit window here as well, Mick. What are you going to do in terms of tyres? Do you think it's going to be a case of follow the leader, see what they do when they come in?
When I was mentioning before that some of the other drivers are thinking about extending the medium tyre compound as long as possible, I think all of them are going to try and go into the pits at the same time. But the question is going to be, are they also going to use the same tyre compound? Because after this, they only have to use either the hard tyre compound or the soft tyre compound.
Do you think it's worth taking a gamble, boxing first and trying to maybe get a bit of a gap somewhere, trying to move out? Because I mean, these guys, they're all in now, and there you go.
Aside from Serrano, yeah,
Serrano takes that gamble, so we're going to find out now if that's the right choice or not, I suppose. So Uro, De Bruyne, Gallo and Miyazono in soft for Paul Uro. We expected that. What about for the rest? Gallo and Miyazono going to the hard tyres, De Bruyne on to the soft. Who gets out first? If you're Kai De Bruyne on the soft tyre and you're stuck behind people, no, that's perfect for him. He's going to put away now. But also for Gallo, if he can try and stay with Kai De Bruyne in the draft there, I mean, that's basically free time for him on that hard compound tyre.
Well, you'd imagine it wouldn't be as difficult at this circuit relative to some of the other tracks because of the slipstream.
Indeed. But I expect that Kai De Bruyne is going to start pulling away after sector 1, which is going to be the chicane, like the upcoming chicane. So, but even so, it would still help Valerio Gallo even a tiny bit, because if you can use the slipstream on a straight line, it's like 3 lap times. So obviously you want to use it in the end. But now the question is going to be with the hard tire compound, it's like the safest tire compound. You can extend it if you want to, but as Valerio Gallo as well as Takuma Miyazono still have to use the soft tire compound, they are probably going to start thinking, at which lap time am I going to start going into the pits in order to do the undercuts? But if they intend to go into the pits earlier, by the end of the race, the soft tire compound are going to be almost gone. So
Serrano's going to come into the pit lane at the end of this one, and just to give you an idea of yeah, exactly, there he is. Just to give you an idea of the difference in sector time. Sector 2 on that last lap for Pol Jura, who's on the soft tyre, 28.4. Serrano on those worn-out medium tyres, 29.2. So we lost 0.8 of a second alone in sector 2. The gap was about 10 seconds or so, wasn't it? It's down to 9.5.
Fastest guy on track right now, though, is Sam Moreno, who went onto softs early.
Yeah.
And he's burned through the softs quite a lot, but he is there. Serrano now is he going to come out ahead of Mierzona? He is there. So Serrano past Mierzona again and right onto the back of Gallo, who is on that hard compound tyre. Now, as you're Valerio Gallo, you play how wide is my X 2019? Now, you've got to try and hold up Serrano on this soft tyre, although I must think maybe he's going to just let him have it.
Yeah.
It's about that long. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, for Serrano,
maybe not.
For Serrano to win this, he had to do that. He had to make that move as quickly as he could, because if he got stuck behind Gallo, especially in this middle sector, that could be half a second, maybe a second that he loses in time, and that could be the difference between winning this race or fighting for a lower podium position.
indeed.
Again, Mick, you've had experience in these races before. I mean, how much of your thought process is going as a whole, the outside the race? We'll get to that in a second. Here's Moreno on Drummond.
He's got another penalty here. Sent it to the inside of Ascari. That's a nice little move there on the soft tyre relative to Drummond's medium, but he's got a track limits penalty, one would assume.